July 16th, 2019. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of That's What G Said podcast. Going to be focused today on Del Mar opening day. We'll go through that racing card and we'll hit race by race, give you some selections, a couple suggested wagers, and just kind of give you an idea of how I look at really every horse throughout the racing card. A couple things to discuss before we get into racing. We'll start with a little shout out to Novak Djokovic. Huge victory over Roger Federer. And I'm not, a tennis expert, but I've been getting into it a little bit more recently. A lot of it because, covered this on the show, did the preview, and been realizing what a great era we are in of tennis for men's tennis, really for women's tennis too, with Serena kind of in the twilight of her career. These could be the three best ever to play the game, and they're all playing it simultaneously. So I've made a little more of a point to watch and really take some time to appreciate this before it goes away, because they're all getting a little older too. Djokovic now, after that victory, that was the 48th time where it was Roger and Djokovic, and 26-22 Djokovic now with the lead. Back and forth. A match that went nearly 5 hours, 4 hours, 57 minutes. And now, 32 years old, won 2011, 2014, 2015, 2018 at Wimbledon, and it was the longest ever Wimbledon final. So now, with that victory, Djokovic is up to 16 career Grand Slam titles. Federer with 20, Nadal with 18, and those are the top three of all time. Sampras with 14 and fourth. Unbelievable, the era of men's tennis that we're in right now. Over the weekend, it was a fun baseball series between the Red Sox and the Dodgers, a rematch of the World Series last year. I'm a big Dodger fan, obviously, so it was a little more fun, winning 2 out of 3. But what we did see for both teams, the weaknesses were really on display. We saw a lot of the strengths with relentless offenses, but weaknesses, bullpen weakness, and even some real sloppy defensive play from both teams that need to be cleaned up a little bit if they want to make legitimate bids to get back to the World Series. So now Boston is 9 games out in the American League East. They're 9 behind the Yanks. And the Dodgers have won 3 in a row after a really fun game against the Phillies, another fun game against the Phillies, where early on it looked like Kershaw was getting hit around a little bit. It looked like the Phillies had an opportunity to blow the game wide open. They could have been up 5 or 6 early on. And instead, the Dodgers were able to get out of a couple Philly rallies, just giving up 1 run, and then boom, you know what happens. As soon as you waste those opportunities, the next inning, a good team will come and capitalize. And the Dodgers have been a good team all year. They have to sustain it. They have to make a couple moves, and they have to do it now in the playoffs again. They have to get back to the World Series again, and this time they have to win it. We'll see if they can continue on. Keep an eye on the Cardinals now. They're starting to play some good ball. They've won 3 in a row. They're only 2 behind the Cubs, and they have a lot of opportunities with teams in the division to make up ground in this, last part of the season. Not even last half anymore. The That's What G Said podcast, Best Baseball Movies, which started with 64 movies. And when you go through this list, it was an incredible list, not only of just baseball movies, but when you're talking the best sports movies, period. Bull Durham, Major League, Bad News Bears, Moneyball, Sandlot, For Love of the Game, A League of Their Own, The Natural, Field of Dreams, Pride of the Yankees, and then, some of the kid movies, Angels in the Outfield, Little Big League, Rookie of the Year, some fun rom-coms, and you have older ones, a little, 8 Men Out, Cobb, good movie, 61, Brewster's Millions, fun, not as much baseball-y, but fun, still threw it in there, 42 had to be mentioned. So we had a good bracket of 64. The finals, down to Major League versus Field of Dreams. So the final four was Bull Durham, Major League, The Sandlot, and Field of Dreams. And Major League defeated Bull Durham in the voting. The Sandlot defeated Field of Dreams in the voting. Down to Major League versus Field of Dreams in the final. And now, after best baseball movies, best basketball movies, best hockey movies, best golf movies, I'm going to take a slight break from the sports movies for 1 week because with all the buzz about The Lion King, our next movie battle is going to be Disney animated movies. So I want to hear from you. Get to facebook.com/GinoBacola. Send me messages. I want to hear from you on Twitter at It's Me Gino B. On Instagram, G Bacola. Let me know, what were your favorite animated Disney movies? Let's get nostalgic. Think back to your childhood. Or heck, think back to right now. So Disney animated, Pixar animated with Disney. That's all in the mix. They got to be animated though. So we're thinking Beauty and the Beast, The Lion King, Cinderella, Snow White, Pinocchio, Little Mermaid, Aladdin, Bambi, Mulan, Dumbo, anything like that, Pocahontas, you know what I'm talking about, Toy Story, Robin Hood, all of those. Anything animated, that's going to be our next bracket. I'm sure we can get a huge list, so I want to hear from you, best animated Disney movies. Time for some Del Mar talk. So get your past performances out. We're going to talk about Del Mar Wednesday, opening day, the 17th. We're going to go through all 10 races on the card. Before we do, want to introduce you to one of the sponsors of That's What G Said podcast. Because one of the most stressful events in life is moving and all of the things that go into the process of relocating. There are so many different factors that you have to worry about. And I know someone who can make your life easier. Cindy Carava. The name sounds familiar. Cindy is the wife of horse racing trainer Jack Carava, who's been a mainstay on the Southern California racing circuit for the last 30 years. Cindy is a full-service realtor that can help you in many different ways. Selling, purchasing, leasing. She can help you find vendors like handymen, painters, landscapers, and gardeners that she personally uses in your own home. It's summer. Maybe you're looking for a little upgrade. Also, if you need help getting pre-approved for a home loan, Cindy can connect you to lenders that she works closely with and can highly recommend. She covers all parts of the San Gabriel Valley, parts of North San Diego County, so Del Mar, Solana Beach, Rancho Santa Fe. If you just want to see how much your home is worth, she can even do a free market analysis of your home's value. And you can check her out yourself on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, find reviews about her on Yelp and Zillow, or if you just go to cindycarava.com, you can find all of her contact information there. I've known her personally for almost a decade. She is one of the most honest and genuine people I have ever met. Exactly the type of person you can trust with any of your real estate needs. Get to cindycarava.com right now, or if you have any questions at all, email her, cindyc.realtor@gmail.com. Well, Mrs. C, I think she's going to be a little sad because her top 4 baseball movies, A League of Their Own, The Sandlot, Moneyball, and Field of Dreams, they were all in the Elite 8, but doesn't look like we're going to get the winner out of there because as this contest is about to wind down, Major League has a 58% to 42% over Field of Dreams. So Field of Dreams got in the finals, but couldn't win it all. Major League looks like with just 15 minutes left, it's going to be crowned the best baseball movie. On to Del Mar. Opening day. So throughout the summer, you're going to get a lot of horse racing. We'll do, on the big days, we'll go through the full cards like this from Del Mar or Saratoga, but every podcast will have at least a race or two, a pick 5, some sequence, a couple best bets. There will be some sort of horse racing and some sort of action. And then we're getting close to football season now too. So a lot as far as the gambling, fantasy, wagering is concerned. Start out Del Mar race number 1. And we begin with the one, I Can Do This. It's a allowance. It's a starter allowance for 3-year-olds and up, which have started for a claiming price of $50,000 or less and have never won 2. I Can Do This is very honest and pretty sharp and pretty consistent, But you have to worry when you see a horse who's finished second 4 consecutive times and has finished second in 5 of 11. Most recently, he broke well. He settled mid-pack. He saved ground. He waited behind horses. He angled around. He got into a nice stride late. Not a bad effort. And that was his first start in a couple months. Should be a little better here. He's an obvious exotics contender, but he's just tough for me to love on top. If you're talking about who can hit your trifectas, absolutely. And he would be no shock in winning this, but I just prefer others, especially if this horse is anywhere around that 3-1 or lower. If he floats up and he's like 5-1, then sure, I would be much more willing to want to play him on top or to include him on the win end. The Secret Courier is a horse I will be using in the exotics. I like his speed, and I think he might be able to clear the field. He might be even a little faster than Julius right next to him. Let's go through his race on May the 25th. He broke well. He was right with the leaders. He was nudged a bit to clear off, which I like, right? When you break well, instead of just battling with the horse, I'd rather be asked a little bit to clear off. Opened up a length, was pressed at the top of the lane, but battled back and opened up 3. He visually looked like a horse who could go farther, and I'd have no problem. The obvious problem is that there's a presence of speed right next to him. Secret Courier fits these conditions well because he's run well both of the times he was in for a tag, but can he clear Julius, who was really fast last out? He was clear, 2 lengths after about 100 yards, and he never looked back. Major speed, but he does not feel like a stalk and pounce type. I think he just has one way to go. So I feel like it's tough when you're making the decision on these are the 2 major speeds in the race. And if one of them doesn't go and the other one goes, then they could get clear. So I prefer Secret Courier of the 2. I do respect Julius. The way I will approach the early pick 5 in here, on my first ticket, I'm just going to use my top 2 selections. And then another ticket, I'm going to play all, and I'll single a little later in the sequence. So I'll let you know in a minute how we'll approach that. But no real knocks on Julius. He's tough to exclude because he could cruise up front if he outbreaks Secret Courier, or maybe he's just a little bit faster than him. I do get the feeling that the 2 might be a little quicker, though. Surprise Fashion, coming out of a couple races where, I'm not, really against Surprise Fashion. On March the 31st, it was a fine start. He was outrun a bit. He was back to last, about 10 lengths off. He was well behind the rest of the field. He actually showed some late interest to pick up the pieces for 4th, chasing Lone Speed. Then on May the 24th, it was a slow start. He was back to last. He was inside. He was 6 off. No real late energy. Finished a couple times behind Toothless Wonder, who we saw win a 25 claimer next out, and then was second against optional 50s and a starter. The top selection in this race is going to be Fastest Cass. And really, it was interesting to me to take a deeper look at how good Steve Knapp has been off the claim as of late. And when you expand the numbers even more, 4 for the last 10, with wins at 9-2, 9-2, 5-1, and 6-5. 18 for the last 82 overall, first start off the claim. And then Fastest Cass, if we go back to his races, particular before he comes into the Knapp barn, the real question with him is, okay, he hasn't had a lot of races on the fast dirt, but I think that's not really fair to knock him for, because the only time he was on the a fast dirt was way back in his debut, and he's just a better horse now. And look at the recent times when he's been able to go longer on a wet or an off track. He's been fine. March the 2nd. That's the race where he goes a mile in the slop against 40 non-twos. He breaks well. He takes back to 4th of 5. He closed well. He's in the middle of the track. He couldn't fly by in the slop. Hard to make up ground. On May the 5th, it was a good start from the inside. He was right on the lead into the turn. He took back. He lost some momentum. He lost a few lengths. He looked loaded at the top of the lane, but he had nowhere to go. Just a little bit unlucky. May the 18th, comes back, settles inside, 5 off, 4th, 5th, takes back to guys get to the outside, makes a 3-wide move. It was a fine third. It was a clear-cut third. And the main question is, what will he run like on a fast dirt course? Will he run well on the grass? He's run well on an off racetrack. I have no reason to believe he can't compete on this on this type of surface. And I'm not a big fan of really anyone in this race. I think he has a huge shot, and we'll make him the top selection because I think he gets a great trip in this spot. He has enough tactical speed and positional speed to get close within striking range, and anything around 7-2, I think he's a fair price for fastest cast. Mr. Magico, it seems like he just runs the same race over and over again. And when you compare who he's run against to who fastest cast has run against, on May the 18th, the 5th place finisher, Dr. Troutman, won next out. An optional 40, going a mile on the grass. The 8th place finisher was Big Sky Logan, and we saw Big Sky Logan Mac can run second against Mr. Magico, so fastest cast is beating the horses who are beating Mr. Magico. Magico settled in 5th. He was inside. He was 5 off. He angled off the rail. It was an okay 3rd. He's just not a win machine. He's 1 for 17. He does lure Pratt, which you have to take as a positive. But I look at others in here as far as the top selections are concerned. So I play the 5 and the 2. I have 5-2 as my top 2 in here. And, I wouldn't talk you off the 1 or the 3. But I'll play those 2 on top with the 5. And we'll use 2 and 5 to start the pick 5 on one ticket, and then we'll play another ticket where we use all. We'll go through those pick 5s in just a bit. Let's move on to race number 2. Del Mar. Optional claiming, 62 non-2s, mile and an eighth on the turf course. From the inside, Warden Jerry. First time gelding. The issue with him, we just haven't seen enough of him over the last couple years. This barn is fine getting horses ready off the layoff. Plus 180 days, they've always been around 18% or so, 16, 18. They're at 16 right now, so 15 to 20. 236 ROI with, a larger sample size if you go out of their last 114 plus the 180-day layoff. I'm just going to be watching him, though, because every time he's raced recently, it's been followed by a layoff. We haven't seen him in almost a year now. Last time was July the 28th, and his last few starts just were not good. He hasn't really been good since March of 2017. So we're going back a long ways to have to find a good effort from Ward and Jerry. Just going to be watching. I think Acker's the one to beat. He used to be a deep closer, and now he shows a lot more tactical speed. In fact, he was actually on the lead in the Tokyo City last time out. He got the lead without being asked, but he was pressed throughout. He put away the early presser, but he could not hold off the late rallies. I actually think he's a little better with a target, with a horse that he can sit right behind. The horse he was defeated by, Campaign, came back to run pretty well, finishing a close-up 4th in the Brooklyn. You look at the horse who he defeated a couple starts back, Souter, who was actually able to defeat his rival to the outside, Via Ignatia. You go back to December the 26th for Acker. He was able to sit patiently in second, in striking range. He moved in between. He held up multiple challenges. I like him quite a bit. I think he's very well spotted. He has the opportunity to get the jump on a horse like United and a horse like Starting Block, who I feel like might be his 2 other major rivals. And the real key is Dr. Troutman and Via Ignatia look on paper like they will set it up nicely for Acker to sit right behind them, maybe right in the mix with Morse code. We'll single Acker on one pick 5, and the other ticket we'll use a couple more in here. The speed will come from Via Ignatia, probably one of a couple in here. You see Maldonado aboard. They just wired a field on May the 18th, but they're going to have to deal with some other pace up front, and this is a little bit tougher group to deal with today. They had a good start from the rail. They were immediately open 2 lengths, well handled by Edwin, able to hang on late, and he's a very good speed rider and able to get horses out front and settle them down, and that's what he will be trying to do with Via Ignatia. I just don't like the way the race shapes up. Morse Code was asked for a little speed last time out, got to the lead, but had pressure from Tis a Runner, put that one away, had the lead with 100 yards left. The career best effort last time out was when flashing speed. So you'd have to imagine they're probably going to think, let's try to get forwardly placed, or at least a little more forwardly placed than we've been. I just don't think Morse Code is as quick as a couple of his other rivals in here. I do like the fact that he did seem to just show a little bit more tactical speed, and sitting closer is never a bad thing. Starting Block will likely not be doing that. He You know what you're going to get from him. He was dead last, inside 10th, double-digit lengths off, saved all the ground, started to roll. He had to maneuver through some traffic, and he was only beaten a half length. He multiple times where it looks like, oh, he's going to win this race, and then he just has to stop a little bit or alter course a little bit. He can win this. The problem is with that running style, generally, that's what he has to do every race. Find a way through or angle widest of all and lose some ground. So you have to pick and choose. You're either going to save ground, try to find a way through, try to weave in and out of traffic, and then you might get stopped, or you angle to the outside, you lose all the ground. He's tough to leave out, though, because he will be launching a bid. You know what you're going to get from him. United was a runner-up against Grade 2 Company last time out. He was 5th of 7 early. He was 5 off in the 2-path. Made a 4-wide bid at the top of the lane. Rallied pretty nicely in between horses for second. Makes a ton of sense in here. One of the absolute contenders. I just prefer Acker slightly to United because I think Acker might have an opportunity to get a couple length jump on United when the real running starts. And then Dr. Troutman to round things out. Was challenged, was slightly pressed at the top of the lane, but battled back on the inside last time out to win, going gate to wire to mile in an 8th against optional 40 first level. The problem is just, you see Via Ignatia, and I don't think Dr. Troutman is better coming from off the pace. I think he's his best when he's able to get out front. So I have this race 2, 6, 5 with, nothing outside the box here, nothing crazy. But I just prefer Acker over United of the two likely favorites. So 2 Acker with the 6, United with the 5 starting block. And we'll use combinations of some of those in the pick 5s. Moving on to the third race, the 1-0 man. You go back to June the 8th against 25 claimers, inside speed. He opened up 2, no excuses. He tried hard, but he was just third best that day. Last out on the 21st of June, he got the lead. He was pressed by his rival, half length off, back to second. He was kind of all in by the 3/4 of a mile part. He actually held on pretty well to only be beaten, 5. He just looked like he was all in early. When you look at Ted W. and possibly Clear the Mine, I just don't see a way that man is going to get clear in here. Because Ted W. is stretching back out from a sprint, and he's showed speed in his last few routes. Clear the Mine I don't think as fast as either of them, but he showed some good speed last time out, and he has the ability to sit close. Clear the Mine with Bill Sparr. Generally, a Bill Sparr first off the claim, they used to be automatic. He's just 2 for his last 17 off the claim, and just 3 for his last 26 first start off the claim. But when you expand those numbers more, and you go back, he's 18 for his last 78, and he's still 23% with a 227 ROI, even with the recent struggles. Clear the Mine flashed some early speed. No one else really went. He cut the corner, and he went on. And it was easy, because he was dropping in class, and he looked like the best horse in the race. And so you put the best horse in the race on the lead like that, he's going to be tough. He will be a logical contender, and one that I won't really be against much. Ted W. with the blinkers off. He's exiting a live race. He lost to a horse named Rule of the Nile, who won a first-level allowance at Saratoga next out. That was Rule of the Nile's 3rd win in a row and 4th of 5. Connections are 7 for their last 24. First start off the claim, Bob Hess Jr. Trainer. Just a trainer, not the connections. The blinkers off for Ted W. He didn't break well, but he was able to move up along the outside and sit close. That was sprinting. Now he should be right on the lead, stretching out with Maldonado aboard. You have to think he's battling with Oman and possibly even Clear the Mine. Top of the game. He won 3 in a row in 2016, 2017. He crushed Opportunity in a small stakes race, and then he stepped up into graded stakes races, and since then he has been 0 for 10, and he has not hit the board. He was claimed for 62, now he's in for 16. Most recently he was 3 deep into the turn, 3 wide in a small field. That didn't help his cause, but he's only beaten 3 horses in his last 3 starts in small fields. Have to be waiting to see a little bit better from this one before I'll play. Avanti Bello was outrun and just never really in it. If you can make excuses for his last 2, then the form looks a lot better. He lost to a horse named Platinum Equity last time out, who was won 6 of 7. Avanti Bello does like Del Mar, does like this trip. There are some reasons to make cases for Avanti Bello. Maybe you can include this one in some of your exotics. Grand Fiesta, an Emerald horse who I think has a little bit of a shot coming in, winning the 15 non-2 last time out. He was in the back of the pack. He was 6 of 8. He was 9 off on the inside. He angled out 4 wide. He won a stretch battle, and he won a nose bob. He likes finishing second and third, or second in particular, but he could be a fun horse to include in some of your exotics. My top selection, Monsegem Acrete. Winner last out. He beat 20 claimers, and it was a small field, but it was a good field. GG Rider is a 15-time winner. Secreto Primero won a 25 claimer on the grass at Del Mar last year. Monsegem Acrete broke well, and he was up closer than normal because it was just a field of 4. You break well, and you might as well just kind of go on with it. I think he'll be a little more off the pace in here, in a race that looks to have some speeds to the inside that are going to set up very well for him. So that's going to be my top selection. I have 7 over 2 over 6 over 5. 7, 2, 6, 5. And this will be one of the horses I'd recommend to bet if you can get like 7-2 or over on the 7. So that's 7, 2, 4, or no, excuse me, 7, 2, 6, 5. 7, 2, 6. Grand Fiesta, third selection, and then 5, Avanti Bello. But I kind of have the 2 and 7 in the top tier here. I think those are the 2 horses that I like the most, and then the 6 and the 5 if you want to go a little deeper in some of your exotics. 7, 2, 6, 5. Moving on to the 4th. 20 claimers, 6 furlongs, 3-year-olds and up. Puriano is going to go second start off an 8.5-month layoff. He was 5th of 6th early. He made up some ground late, but he was having some trouble switching leads. The blinker's on from the rail. You'll probably get a little more speed from him today. Incensed fits in here. I think fits really well. The issue is that the barn is 0 for their last 23 first start off the claim. He feels like he should be right in the mix. He broke well. He was mid-pack. He was 2-path in between horses, just a couple lengths off. Then inside, got a nice opening and was a clear second. And he's proven at Del Mar. I have him in the top 4. Quality Line will make the slight top selection in here. He's coming off a couple really bad races, right? But they were against better, and I think you can make excuses for them. Because even his last 3 races, I think you can make somewhat excuses for them. Because the May 18th race, followed by a layoff. And then the August race, followed by a very long layoff. Comes back, and I think he just, ran like a horse who needed the race. Second off the bench. Comes back to Del Mar where he's run well, drops in class. We're only 5 starts back from him winning optional 40 going, 6.5 furlongs. I think he's got a big shot. All of his starts in the last 5 since that win have been against tougher. Doesn't face anyone like that in here today. Quality Line, the slight top selection, and we'll make a win wager on him if we can get around 9-2 on Quality Line. The 4 looks like, if Quality Line's the one to beat, the 4 looks like the one to bet. Strike that, Willy Wonka, reverse it. Quality Line's the one to bet because he'll probably be a better price. I think Facts Matter is probably the one to beat. Won 3 of his last 4, 4 of his last 6, and look at the way that he's won races, which always impresses me when you can do it in different ways. A few starts back, he sits, close. 2 starts back, he's 7th of 8th, and he's able to close and win. And then last time out, he goes gate to wire. He had to show more speed from the rail last time out. He battles from the inside. He put away the second choice, and he drew off. Last 3 different wins, 3 different ways. Should sit nicely in here behind Giddy Meister. It looks like Giddy Meister will be going to the lead, and I think Facts Matter sit right behind. Admiral Maldonado on the speed of Giddy Meister should be, right in the mix early. He broke on top from the rail last time out. He dealt with some pressure from a couple others, but he put them away and he drew clear. It's going to be a tougher group to deal with today. and a couple of horses who have the opportunity to show a little bit of speed. But I think he should be right on the lead, and he looks like the one to catch. Roaring Rule, coming off a 13.5-month layoff. Best race is going a little bit longer. 12 of the last 13 races have been long, period, and this just looks like a prep off the bench. So we'll go 3, 4, 5, 2. Quality Line, Facts Matter, Giddy Meister, Incensed. And race number 5, we'll go to Square Peggy. These are optional 40 fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up. 5 furlongs on the turf course. Square Peggy from the inside. Slow start, last out was 7th, 8th, was 5 off, angled out, closed well, missed 3rd, but has speed and can pass some horses. Will probably have to flash that speed from the rail, but I like the fact that she's shown she can rate a little bit. Convince has only been on the grass one time, and it was in the debut. Her dam is a grass winner. I think she deserves another chance on the grass. Last time out, she was in a race where she lost to Rather Nosy, and Convince broke well, then sat 3 deep in the clear, loomed up, but had no real shot chasing a wire-to-wire lone speed winner in Rather Nosy. She'd have a little more punch today on the cutback going 5 furlongs. Give her another shot on the grass. I'm going to make her my top selection because I think she's going to be a nice price in there. And if, she should be more like a 6-8 to 1 shot. So, and she might be higher than that. Flower Point, super impressive in the debut. Slow start, last early, starts to move outside, about a 6 wide, long, sustained run. Very impressive. Then last time out, it's a total toss race. You could put a line right through it. She was pulling, the saddle slipped, just backed right out of it. Never had a chance. Give Flower Point a big shot bouncing back here. Honey from the South, really tough to knock her, breaking her maid in her first start on the grass for Baffert. She was 4 wide, but she was right with the leaders early. She took back a bit to save a little bit of ground. Then she angles around 4 or 5 wide in the lane and draws off. She would be another who would be no shock, but you just can't use them all, right? More is better. It was a good start. Was right on the lead. Was 3 deep. Was within a length. Battled all the way, but lost by a well-measured neck. And I'm just worried that there's a lot of other speed in here, like Kiana's Love, who battled in between, but was never really comfortable. Was all in early last time out. The blinkers come off. Maybe they can make her a little more comfortable and make her come from off the pace a bit. Her debut winning was very good. And she was in between horses. And I didn't love the last effort. She's going to need to show a little bit more, and they may have to try to get her outside and off the pace a bit. Miss Hot Legs was extremely professional when she won. And in her debut, it's hard to knock it. She had a slow start, but she moved through the field nicely. She angled out 3 deep. She was a clear second. She just couldn't get to the wire winner, Kiana's Love. And then last time out, Miss Hot Legs broke well and was inside and just ended up on the lead, went on with it, was handwritten and was really impressive. Looked like a good thing in victory. The one to beat in here. Her game, 2.5 months off. In her U.S. debut, it was a slow start. She was squeezed back. She moved through on the inside, but she didn't seem to be enjoying it down there. Now, that was just her first start in a year and her first start in the U.S., so she has plenty of room to improve. Was in a race that's produced a nice next out winner, Kenton Road, who's won 2 in a row. Wandering Patrol flashed some speed from the rail last time out, battled it out early. The top 2 were barely separated all the way around. She wins, but this is a big step up and a race where there's just how many of these that we've gone through that said, okay, they want to be close to or right on the lead. They want to be close to or right on the lead. So that's why I prefer a couple who I think have the speed to put themselves in position, but can also come from off the pace. Storming Lady, she's pretty tough to leave out of your exotics. She broke well, but she took back to the inside, saved ground in third. She was 2-3 off. She waited for room. She angled 3 wide and around like a pro, and Now she cuts back a little bit, but she's run well sprinting on the grass, and she seems just like a better animal now. I wouldn't want to leave her out of it at a nice price. Dreamy Gal did have some races in Southern California before going to Arizona, and they weren't bad, including, the 6.5 furlong win you see down the hill. But just another one, tough draw with speed, could get hooked really, really wide, and I don't know if she's the quickest of the quick. There's a lot of other speed in this field. You have a total wild card like Tiger Silk, who just has a tough draw. Mandela is 3 for 19 with foreign shippers, but actually all 3 of those wins were with Pratt aboard in the 12 starts that Pratt and Mandela have been together with those foreign shippers. So she would be no shock, but I have her towards the bottom of the group that I'll use in the exotics. We'll play this 2, 7, 3, 10, 12. 2, 7, 3, 10, 12. So Convince is the slight top selection based on price. I think the 7 is the horse to beat, Miss Hot Legs. The 3, Flower Point, extremely impressive debut. Got to give a chance to bounce back. The 10, Storming Lady, in very nice form right now. And then the 12, the wild card, Tiger Silk. Let's talk about the early pick 5s. So, the early pick 5s. First ticket in race number 1, 2, 5, Secret Courier and Fastest Cass. Race number 2, 2, 5, 6, Acker, Starting Block United. Race number 3, 2, 7, Clear the Mine and Monsegem Acrete. Race number 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, Incensed, Quality Line, Facts Matter, Giddy Meister. Race number 5, 2, 3, 7, 10, 12. Convince, Flower Point, Miss Hot Legs, Stormin' Lady, Tiger Silk. Then the other ticket we'll play, same pick 5, race number 1, all to start. It's a field of 6, field of 6 to start. Single to 2 in race number 2, Acker. 2, 5, 6, 7 in the third. In race number 4, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then in race number 5, 2, 3, 7. So all with 2, 5, 6, 7, with 2, 3, 4, 5, with 2, 3, 7 to close it out in race number 5. A couple different pick 5s. And if you want to go a little bigger, a little smaller, you can see how I place the horses in order. So I don't, I know everybody plays on different budgets. Some of us only have $10 that we can play with. Sometimes others are playing with 1,000. So I'll kind of put it right in the middle. And if you need to cut or add, or if you ever have a question, always shoot me a message. Feel free. I always love interacting with everybody out there. So then in the third race, Monsegem Acrete, let's play anything over 7 to 2. And in the fourth race, Quality Line, and anything over 9 to 2 might be worthy of a few bucks. Moving on to race number 6. We have Calbred, Maidens, Fillies, 2-year-olds, 5.5 furlongs. The distance going to Shabooms is a first-time starter that gets a tough draw. Doesn't really have a big pedigree. So to me, I think this is just a tough spot for going to Shabooms. I go next door to Freedom Ride as the horse to beat, whose debut was actually very good. She broke in and she bumped. She did recover. She loomed up 3 wide. And it was a nice effort where she showed a little something and then she flattened out. She is not facing any monsters in this field at all. And I love that experience under the belt. If she is that 7 to 2 morning line, then that's a fair price for her. Lucky Daughter, the 3, was a good start from the outside. She crossed over to lead a length. She had the lead early in the stretch and faded. Plenty of room for improvement off that debut effort. Blinkers come off for Circle of Color, who just really did not show a lot. Need to see more from this one on the slight drop. What I like about Lucky Daughter is you have a filly who faced open maiden special weights in her debut and now is against Calbred maiden 50s. Freedom Ride takes a slight drop after facing the Calbred maiden special weights. I want one first-time starter for Andrew Lerner. This barn hasn't won with the firster, but they haven't had a ton of firsters. A very good and capable barn. I just will keep an eye on this one. The dam was 0 for 10, and this is the first full, so it's not necessarily a great pedigree from what we've seen. So I'll just wait on I Want One. Golden Goddess. The dam was 7 for 25, $100,000 earner. The Lone Sib was a 5-time winner. But the barn is 0 for 21 with their recent first-time starters, and 0 of them have hit the board. No top 3 finishes. Governess Sheila had a good start, came out a bit, then got stuck on the inside and was in tight. Need to see a little more from her. She'd probably show a little speed. Margot with the T, just going for a cold barn, and she hasn't shown anything, and the barn has not won since 2017. Just 3 for the last 243. Arouse and Go, first-time starter for Jeff Bondy, who has tailed off as of late with the first-timers. Used to be really good. 20 for 161 over the last 5 years, but just 2 for the last 19. The dam was 0 for 1. 9 combined fulls for 41 victories and $735,000 in earnings. Arouse and Go, I do have picked third in a race that I don't think is very strong, or I can't imagine wagering a whole lot in the 6th race. It's kind of the in-between race. It's the start of a late pick 5 if you want to play that. I'll give you a late pick 4 instead, but we play this race with the 2 over the 3 over the 9. Super formful, super chalky. I only think the 2, if you can get 7-2, is worthy of making a win wager. That is Freedom Ride. Race number 7. Start of your late pick 4. From the inside, you have the 1, Bella Ranella. These are Calbred fillies, 2-year-olds. And this one adds the blinkers after a slow start. She was back to last of 6 on the inside. Really closed well, laid up the inside, just missed second. And that was against Open Company. And now we'll face Calbreds. I think she is the one to hold off. And with the blinkers, hopefully she can just get a little bit more involved. Maybe she even has speed. We don't know. It was just a slow start. She's going to have to use a little bit of that speed to try to navigate things from the inside. The 2 is Warren Showtime. Craig Lewis, first-time starter. Not the best with first-timers, just 1 for 23 recently. He's a little bit better than that. He's capable with the good firster. This filly's dam, Warren's Veneta, was 8 for 29, or $932,000, was a grade 1 winner and a multiple graded stakes winner. And this 2-year-old filly has a steady tab. Just think there are a couple others in here with more burst out upside. Smiling Shirley, the dam won in her debut, and that dam has had 2 fulls to race. Both of them were winners. One of them won their debut for trainer Jeff Bondy, and trainer Jeff Bondy is the trainer of Smiling Shirley. We just mentioned in the previous race, though, with first-time starters recently, just 2 for the last 19, but I think capable with the right one, so I would be more likely to give Smiling Shirley a look in this spot. I have her 4th, but I think she actually has a legitimate win chance, maybe even more than the one in the previous race for Bondy. Warrior's Moon is the 4. Was bumped a bit at the start, ended up on the inside towards the rear, then was in between horses, did show something late. I'm just expecting a lot better second out from Warren's Moon after a little bit of late interest. This is a good race. It's wide open. There's many you can make a case for, and they should all be around the same price. I don't think there should be any overwhelming favorite in this spot. Sasser B broke out, was up to 4th, was 2 off, was, slightly got up to 3rd, but was all in at the top of the lane. Now the blinkers come off. Some improvement likely. Maybe they show some speed today with Edwin jumping aboard. Secret Square looks like a top contender in here. The dam was 1 for 4, but did win her debut. The other lone folder race was 0 for 5. It's Sadler, Ronus Racing, and Tyler Bays. Supposed to be a nice filly. Would not be surprised to see her bet down a bit. I have her 3rd, and I will be using her in all of the exotics. She's in the very top tier. Very boisterous. The dam of this filly was unraced. The lone foal just 1 for 13. But how about a jockey trainer combo? of Cedillo and Miotti that have won 9 of their last 14 starts. That's pretty hot. The barn is right around a 10% barn first time out. If you expand the numbers even more, they're 18 for their last 181, so they're right around that true 10%. She's a girly girl. The 8 first-timer for Knapp. Mentioned the numbers previously. Knapp just not the best with first-time starters. The dam of this one was a 5-time winner, and this is just her first full to race. I'm going to put a little bit of a price on top here. Let's go to Liberalism, and I'm going to make this filly my top selection. Her lone sib was 0 for 2, but the dam was a 9-time winner who earned $115,000. The barn is 6 for their last 15 with first-time starters, and they've always been a barn that can get horses ready to fire and outrun their odds early on. This is a wide-open race where I think you're going to get a bunch of support for different fillies in here, and I'm going to put mine behind Liberalism. Put this horse on top slightly. So the 9 will be the top selection. Takes a Village. You go through the 10, who was actually favored in her debut, and she broke well. She got to the lead by about a length, but she was just no real match for the winner that day. Last out, she battled 4 wide, made a 3 wide challenge at the top of the lane, but just nothing to offer late against Takes a Village. If Vegan draws in, she will be tough, adding the blinkers, so Vegan will probably be a use if she gets in. But we'll play this race 9, 1, 6, 3, 4. So the 9, Liberalism, on top of the 1, Bella Ranella, on top of the 6, Secret Square, top of the 3, Smiling Shirley, on top of the 4, Warriors Moon. We'll give you the couple pick 4s to close things out. If we get 10-1 on Liberalism, that should be a win wager. The Run Happy Oceanside mile on the turf course for the 3-year-olds. Starting out with Manhattan, who I'm actually going to have as my top selection slightly. This is a little bit of a swing, but he's only raced once on the grass, and I think you can put a line right through it. Obviously, he was pulled up, he was walked off, and he's come back and he's run well in spots since then. The dam was a 3-time winner on the grass, won at 5 furlongs, 7 furlongs, and a mile on the turf. The only other foal that Manhattan Up has never tried the grass. Most recently, he's lost to Mucho Gusto twice in Roadster. A couple nice 3-year-olds for Baffert. From a class standpoint, they are a lot better than maybe everyone in this field, except for perhaps a horse like Jasican, who can still become a very nice one. But if we're just talking about class, I mean, Mucho Gusto and Roadster, I think, are a lot better than what most of this field is from just a talent standpoint. Now it comes to Manhattan Up. Can he transfer just the recent form that he's had over to the grass? And if he does, he should be right there. Saves the ground from the inside. He doesn't have to be too far back. Giving Manhattan Up a big shot. 8-1 or so is where he should be. The 2 Roger that. Blinkers on. He was towards the rear. He was never really in it, to be honest. He should improve, but I just need to see more for him, adding the blinkers, second time in the U.S. Jasican is the one to beat. And I'll use Jasican and Manhattan Up as my top 2 in some of the exotics. Like 1 and 3 would be my top tier of horses if I was playing over other horses. Jasican's 2 races in the U.S. are really, really good. On April the 28th, it was a slow start. He was last early. He angled off the rail. It was the 2-path. He was 6th of 7. He was 4 off and then 3 deep at the rear. It was a big 4+ wide move up the challenge for the lead, and it was a fine third behind Neptune Storm, who has won 3 in a row and 4 of his last 6. And then on May the 27th, Jasican again a step slow, but over to the inside. They were last 7 off. They made a 5 wide bid, huge sweeping move. Sadler has mentioned that they've been working with this horse a little more in the morning to try to get him just a bit quicker out of the gate. They don't want him to be fast, but just not dead last and spotting the field, an extra few lengths. He will be really, really tough to hold off. Jasican. the likely deserving favorite in here, but you can't bet him. And there are a couple other options where if he gets bet down so much that it would be worth it to go against him on the win end, but I don't think he's the type of horse who you just chuck out in your late pick fours or in your late exotics, because he really does feel like he's tough. I'd actually be more inclined to single him, because the way that I play this race is I'm taking a swing with Manhattan up at a price. I do feel like Jasican is the most likely winner of the race. The 4 Legends of War should be in a nice spot. Speed but can sit, exiting a 5 furlong race. On paper, he's the one to catch. He was just defeated by a horse named Listing, who came back to win a grade 3 at Saratoga, and stretching back out from 5 furlongs to a mile, probably right on the lead. King of Speed ended up on the lead last time out, but he's not as quick as a couple of the others in here, and I don't think he will be on the lead again today. Remember him from last year as a 2-year-old? He was good down at Del Mar, and he started to figure things out, and then you can make some excuses for his most recent form, right? He wins the Zuma Beach in October, then they take a shot in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf. Maybe he was just in too tough. Then they take a shot in the Los Al Futurity on the dirt. He faces Improbable and Mucho Gusto. Not an easy spot. Comes back at the El Camino Real Derby, again trying to face the top-notch 3-year-olds, and he's not on the surface that is his preferred surface, which is the grass. Loses to another twist of fate. Then bounces back in 2 starts on the grass. They've both been okay. He ended up on the lead last out because they weren't going that fast. But that's not really his game. He was behind Neptune Storm 2 back, and he was not far behind Jasican. King of Speed, he showed ability at 2, entered off a solid race. 3rd off the bench, no Neptunes to deal with today. I have him picked 3rd in here. And he's got a major shot. King of Speed. The 6 is City Rage. It's really tough to knock what he did in his win last time out. He cleared the field early. He opened up a length. No knocks. I just don't know if he'll get that kind of a cruising on the front end trip today with a horse like Legends of War. More Ice was tucked inside. He was 3rd. He was 4th. He was 2 off. He was no match when the real running started last time out. He's now in the hands of Dan Ward, the assistant trainer for Jerry Hollendorfer, and Dan will have a string at Del Mar. I just think that I need to see more from More Ice at the moment. Gregorian Chant takes the blinkers off. He was a bit slow. He got crossed over on, and he was back to last in a field of 5. He made a wide bid. He tried hard. He was a little flat late. He wouldn't be a shock. I'm cold on him, and I won't be using him in the exotics in here. If he wins, he's going to beat me. I just like a few others particularly more than Gregorian Chant. Rajika's another one that I'm a little cold on. He was beaten by Neptune Storm last time out, but everything had to go his way in order for him to get up and win by a nose just a couple starts back, and I don't think he's quite as good as a few in here. Noldy's had a perfect trip in 3rd. Last out, he angled out 3 deep. He never looked like a loser, and he's on the improve. He's continuing to step forward. He's a tough horse for me to knock and to tell you not to include, because he's going to be a decent price. He should be around 8-10 to 1. Golden Birthday, a Calbred. He just needs to be a little bit better than what we've seen from him. And Synthesis is a first-time gelding to round out the field. Looks like a big price and a tough one to make a huge case for. 1, Manhattan up over the 3, Jasican, who is the one to beat. The 5, King of Speed, another viable alternate if you don't like the top 2 of mine. And the 4, Legends of War, will try to steal things on the front end. The 10, Nold, is sharp, trying to go 3 for 3 on the grass. On to the 9th race. Optional 40 claimers, non-winners of 1, 7 furlongs. These are older, 3-year-olds and up. Beginning with Spokane Eagle, who's right with the leaders on the inside. He was battling, and that's likely what you're going to get from him. Speed from the inside. He can sit, and he has big victories on his resume, but from the inside and going 7 furlongs, I feel like he's going to be forced a little bit, and I don't love his chances in here. The blinkers come on for Cool Bobby, who comes out of a live race. The 7th place finisher won an optional 40 next out at Los Al. Cool Bobby broke fine. He didn't really corner that well going into the first turn, but then he settled nicely in third. He was 4 or 5 lengths off. He made a big move to open up 2 lengths at the top of the lane, got a little bit tired late. Now he adds the blinkers and he cuts back. This should be a perfect trip for Cool Bobby, able to sit just off. Coil Me Home. His wins have been at 6 furlongs and then against Calbreds at Los Alamitos. I just feel like he needs to improve on Spokane Eagle and Candy Cornell and improve just a little bit overall to be a major factor in this field. So against Coil Me Home, King Jack was good in his debut. He had a nice start. He broke right with the leaders. He was third. He was just a half length off, made a 3-wide move, and it was very impressive. He beat a horse named Morning Snow. That's a Baffert horse who came back to win next out, a maiden special weight, by 8 lengths. The top selection is actually going to be Cat's Blame, though, because when you look at this race and you go up and down horse by horse, Spokane Eagle wants to be on the lead. Cool Bobby, probably going to be just off, but they add the blinkers. He might be right up on the pace. Coil Me Home has some races where he's flashing speed. You have King Jack, who shouldn't be sitting too far. Jack Van Berg is probably going to be right up in the mix. Candy Cornell is more likely to show speed than he is to try to come from off the pace. Fire When Ready has speed. Metropole won't be that far out of it. You know, you go through this entire field, they're basically all horses with similar running styles where they might be on the lead. If you can find a horse who really can take back, make one late run with 7 furlongs as a trip with a little more distance to get up, Cat's Blame, I think, is going to get a great setup in here. Broke well, then tracked back to last. Was just last of a main group. Was about 5 off, and then angled around. It was a good effort from Cat's Blame. With more distance, with a little more pace to run at in a big field like this, could get a great setup, and that will be my top selection in here. I was going through the rest. You know, Jack Van Berg, I'm a little concerned of because he just seems best when he's on the lead. I'm not really a fan of Candy Cornell's last couple efforts. I don't really like the races that him and Coil Me Home come out of, so I'm more against the two of them. Fire When Ready seems a little speedy. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to sit and pass horses going, 7 furlongs in a field like this. And then Metropole, his debut was fine, but it was just against a field of 4. He was in hand. It was just, now he won very impressively, but he has to deal with the layoff, older horses, and 7 furlongs off the bench. I'm against Metropole. Bucky's Pick, you could talk me into him. I'm not sure exactly what he is or what his best trip is. And then Bellerin, whose best races come also when sitting close, but he just doesn't seem like he's fast enough to keep up with some of the other real quick ones in here. I wouldn't talk you off as a real, if you're looking for a bust-out long shot in some of your exotics, or maybe a horse to flop into your pick 4, and maybe you can spice things up, the 12 Heartful of Stars. Stepping up, sharp, looking for his 3rd in a row, come from off the pace a little bit. It doesn't have to be too far off. I have him in 4th here. Behind the 5, top selection, Cat's Blame. The 4, King Jack. The 2, Cool Bobby. And it looks like as I'm doing this, I'm seeing a scratch of Spokane Eagle. So Spokane Eagle, the 1, looks like will be out. So that'll put Cool Bobby on the rail and might make it a little trickier for Cool Bobby. So we have 5, 4, 2, 1. Really wouldn't alter a whole lot of my handicapping. I do still like Cool Bobby, but maybe if he was a top selection, and I would maybe alter him and put him back 1 or 2, because I don't love the rail going 7 furlongs with a horse who's kind of an in-betweener like him. He may have to show a little more speed or just decide to take back. So 5, 4, 2, 12. 5, 4, 2, 12 in race number 9. And then let's get to the 10th race and close things out. One of the best bets of the day is right from the inside, Bud Knight. Bud Knight going a mile in the grass last time out. both of his races going long on the grass were not bad. The debut is better than it looks on paper, and then second out, 3 deep early, then in the 2-path, gave up some ground early on, was fourth, was 4-5 off, ends up running a fine third, and the wide trip early on might have cost him a little late punch. You go up and down this field, and the horses who are going to get bet, we're projecting that they're going to run well. Like, we're projecting Gimme the Loot can go long. We're projecting that Satchel Paige or Play Money or some of these other horses are going to, show some improvement and run well on the grass, and we don't know that. What we do know is that Bud Knight showed a good effort on the grass, a better effort than anyone's shown in this race going long, and I think Give Me the Loot will be tough to catch, but if he falters and he just doesn't want to go this long, that's where Bud Knight will be a real nice fit. So the 8, Give Me the Loot, is the other horse as far as like the major contenders are concerned. This is not the strongest race in the world. Like Side Pocket Action, no thank you. Flick Flack, didn't really see a whole lot of excuses. Maybe this one can get into the mix and show a little bit of improvement. My Journey I will use. I actually have 184, and My Journey is my third selection in here. Blinkers come off, needed the race off a really long layoff, was a little bit fresh, flashing some speed. So My Journey, I would not talk you off. The 5, Satchel Paige, another one that, the first 2 starts sprinting on the dirt weren't bad. They're fine. Was your beaten favorite last time out. Wide trip. Now tries the grass. Not like any amazing breeding for the grass, but just not a strong field. So with the connections alone for D'Amato, he'll be a player. But I've picked him 5th. Braggart, need to see more from off just that maiden 20 debut. Unusually Handsome. Was not really a fan of what I saw in his last 2 starts. Mentioned Gimme the Loot. He is the one to catch. Mighty Elijah. Can't really make too much of a case for him first time on the grass going long. The 10, Play Money. If he's around that 12-1, I think you could give him a shot. He showed some improvement last time out. He showed a little speed going long on the grass, and maybe he's a horse who's moving in the right direction. And if you're going to be taking shots on horses, take shots on horses that are prices. Because to me, this is Bud Knight is the horse, the most likely winner going a mile. If it's not him, it's Give Me the Loot that wires the field, and then it's anyone else. So I feel like those 2 are a top tier above the rest. And you have Claim of Passion, Petey. No real strong cases for either of them. I mean, Petey, I would play in some of the bottom of exotics if you're looking for a bottom of your try, bottom of your supers. But I have this race 1, 8, 4, 10, 5. So the 1 and the 8 on top, but I would prefer the 1 if you're looking for maybe a single even in some late exotics. If you want to double up, you can go 1-8. Anything over 7-2 on Bud Knight, 3-1 even, is a fair price because I think he is the one to beat. So the late pick 4 that starts in race number 7 will be 2 different tickets. I always play multiple tickets. The first one will be 1, 6, 9, Bella Ranella, Secret Square, and Liberalism. With the 1 and the 3, Manhattan Up and Jassican. With the 4 and the 5, so that is King Jack and Cat's Blame. And then to close things out with 1, 4, 5, 8, 10. We'll use all the horses in there that we mentioned have a shot. But the first ticket will be a little spread to start. The pick 4 with the 1, Bella Ranella. The 3, Smiling Shirley. The 4, Warrior's Moon. The 6, Secret Square. And the 9, Liberalism. With the 1, Manhattan Up. The 3, Jassican. The 4, Legends of War. The 5, King of Speed. And the 10, Noldy. We use the 2, 4, and 5, Cool Bobby, King Jack, Cat's Blame in the 9th. And then the 10th to close it out. If you want a single Bud Knight, you could do so. Or you could go 2 deep with the 1 and the 8. Give Me the Loot. Those are the 2 plays. We'll go through some of the best bets one more time for you. Third race, number 7, Monsegem Crete, for around 7-2, worthy of a win wager. Fourth race, the number 3, Quality Line, at around 9-2, worthy of a win wager. Sixth race, the number 2, Freedom Ride, at around 7-2, worthy of a win wager. Seventh race, the number 9, Liberalism, around 10-1, worthy of a win wager. And then the 10th race, the number 1, Bud Knight, maybe a late exotic single, anything around 3-1, looks like a very good price. Good luck in the opener from Del Mar. Going to be a fun opening day, and then I'll be back in just a couple days. We'll have some Del Mar and Saratoga for this weekend, some big little thoughts. We'll also recap Stranger Things, plenty more to talk about in the world of sports. Make sure, if you can, folks, leave that nice 5-star rating and review over on iTunes. Make sure to follow on YouTube, SoundCloud, iTunes. We're on Google Podcast, TuneIn, really anywhere that you listen to your podcast. Check out That's What G Said.